Today, I have the beautiful opportunity to introduce y'all to one of my absolute best friends here on Maui. She is a fellow Sarah. We met in June in ceremony, one of my very first ceremonies here when I arrived to the island to visit. And we have been on quite a beautiful rainbow filled journey together
Mm,
over the last several months since I moved here. Sarah, it is such a delight to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful and honored and excited to be doing this with you.
Yay. So, opening the portal with the question, in this incarnation right now on the planet, what is your soul's purpose?
Okay. Hmm. My soul's purpose is to help guide people to feel fully and deeply alive. And that's my mission to help guide people be in their full aliveness. And I do that by weaving magic into medicine.
Ah, yes. I've experienced this from you. You do weave so much magic into the medicine, y'all. Sarah is a naturopathic doctor and just really beautifully skilled at that. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that means? Like, what does it mean to weave magic into medicine?
Hmm. Um, I feel like feeling fully alive, that vibration of being fully alive is magic, right? That connection to all of the elements, feeling the elements within, feeling our connection to the earth, the water, the stars, that is the magic. And shining light on all of those things in the body and all of the pain, all of the grief, all of the messes and lumps and bumps, kind of shining light, honoring that and using the magic within in whoever I'm working with, weaving my medicine with their medicine, and the magic in plants and in whatever we put in our body. Really looking at healing as living in a place of full life, not from a place of disease or diagnosis or sickness, from a place of excitement and balance and beauty, right? And shining a light on all the little nooks and crannies in the body, giving as much importance to spirit, to the divine in every single one of us as the body and what's going on physically, and realizing there is no separation, right? And we are um, the the stars, we are the ocean, we are the land and the plants, and really embodying the ethereal.
I love that answer. And it brought up so much for me because whenever you're talking about like shining light and you brought up like the lumps and the bumps and the disease, I think so much of our dis-ease and our sickness and a lot of the illnesses that come through are because of parts of ourselves, parts of our emotional selves, our energetic selves being sort of in shadows,
Mm,
right? And not having light shed on them. And
mm,
like I have come to realize, although, several years ago when I was really dealing with a lot of digestive issues, I hated it when people told me this, when people said like that
mm,
all of our physical ailments have some sort of root energetically or emotionally. I was always like, fuck you, man. Like you're
mm.
blaming the victim. But as I've gotten older, I have come to realize how deeply true that is, because the more in alignment I have become in my own life, the more I've seen that some of those chronic ailments have slipped away. And I'm wondering if you can speak to that.
Yes, definitely. And there's so many layers, right? With digestion, let's use digestion as an example. It's kind of, yeah, our emotions and how we're digesting the world from an emotional and spiritual perspective is big. And there's ancestral layers, there's genetic layers, right? Bacteria is passed down in our gut from 14 generations behind us, just like trauma is. And we have the ability with our thoughts, with our breath, with the intention of whatever herb, whatever nutrient, whatever food we put in our body to change that DNA, right? That's epigenetics. That's change. We have the power to change the bacteria in our gut, right? So it's really looking at microbiomes and macrocosms.
Ooh, I
um,
like that. You should have a course named Macrobiomes and
uh,
Microbiomes and
I, I
Macrocosms.
kind of want to. I kind of want to. Yay. Yeah. So it's not necessarily kind of blaming the person. Oh, it's your fault that you have bloating and gas at all. It's kind of bringing awareness to the bloating and gas, to the discomfort that comes with the bloating and gas or the digestive issues, and then the awareness to where it may be coming from. And it may have kind of one root, or it may have many roots, and kind of working with the roots. And that's big in Chinese medicine. I also practice Chinese medicine and acupuncture, and it's all about kind of working with the roots instead of the branches, right? What's behind or underneath these layers of imbalances or these layers of patterns. And the other thing I want to mention is in Chinese medicine, there's not necessarily disease, right? It's just patterns. So we don't think of it as a negative thing, just like we don't like to think of emotions like grief or anger or fear as negative. We want to honor them, just like we honor joy and bliss and euphoria. And we want to honor all of these patterns in the body and work with them to bring them to a state of aliveness, of balance.
Yeah, and you were also mentioning in your soul's purpose about like weaving magic into that,
Mm-hmm.
and how for you magic is the life force in us and in everything, and us being sort of connected with the natural environment. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how how I define magic too. And magic can be defined so many ways. One of them is sort of like the science that you haven't discovered yet. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, magic is just everywhere. I mean, you can't really look out. I'm looking out my window right now. You can't really look out the window without seeing so much magic if you've really opened your eyes to it.
Mm-hmm. Especially in Hawaii, but also on the busy streets of like a concrete city, right? There's still so much magic. And yeah, it's magic to me is vibration, it's frequency, it's that deep sense of unity and connection and duality, right? Like looking at the shadows or the pain and being able to sit with it, being able to honor it. And magic to me is also the fact that we can change our DNA with our breath or with a thought,
Mm.
right? Or with the essence of a plant in homeopathy, right? Or by including certain herbs in our intake, in our diet throughout the day. All of it
We've
is magical. I agree. It's everywhere.
we've gotten so far away from that with our current medical paradigm, and where we've been
Mhm.
for the last, I don't know, 100 years or so, with the or hundreds of years with the medical paradigm, is like this need to look externally for a diagnosis, treating symptoms, taking pills, all of this stuff that just is so far removed from magic and from the natural environment. And what you're doing is sort of bringing us back to a place where we are living more in harmony with nature, with our bodies, and creating real transformation from that.
Mhm. I hope so. That's the goal. That's the passion, you know, and being a bridge, because there are a lot of people, especially in Hawaii, that are very aware and very deeply connected with the land and the elements, and how emotion and body and spirit are all the same thing. And then there are those that it's new to, right? So I still, yes, will run blood work or take people's blood pressure, and I will put kind of more emphasis on the magic that happens in the room with somebody, in being in heart resonance with the person across from me, and listening with my whole body, my whole heart, my whole being, and maybe suggesting with my whole body, my whole heart, my whole being, right? Because the intention of taking anything, whether it's an herb or a plant medicine or an antibiotic, or taking a swim in the ocean, the intention behind it and the energy and the frequency behind it is what is going to create healing. And so bringing that into the office, I still have an office, I still see people one-on-one, as a teacher. And then the other piece I want to mention as I'm talking about offices is I'm moving towards a lot of group work as well, because in all medicine models and structures and systems, it's very much behind a closed door in confidentiality, sitting with one person talking about your health things, right? And I really believe in kind of shining a light on our health things, shining a light on the things that may be in the nooks and crannies of our body that want to be seen and heard and felt. And so doing that in circle with people, I've used the phrase kind of bringing circle into structures, which I think is a really beautiful thing. So kind of leaving behind the shame and the fear around health and what may be going on in these bodies, and bringing it into a place in circle with other humans that may have experienced similar situations or happenings. Yeah. So kind of bringing group energy and circle energy into the kind of medical model, and not just pushing it away or leaving it behind, because the structure still exists, right? The whole healthcare world and healthcare system and business of healthcare is still out there, right? And there are people kind of seeking wellness and seeking full healing, or living in that fully kind of alive place. And I think of kind of my work as a bridge, as kind of like a step into the ethereal in the body. Does that make sense?
Totally. No,
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love what you're talking about with regards to bringing the circle and the group work into a more medical, I'm saying that with quotes,
Mm-hmm.
practice. That feels revolutionary to me. I mean, the magical
Mm-hmm.
aspect of it also, weaving magic into medicine, also feels really beautiful and revolutionary to me. But
Mm-hmm.
bringing it into the group so that we can really shed a light on it and see, because you find a lump on your breast, like you
Mm-hmm.
don't really tell anybody about it
Mm-hmm.
except for your doctor,
Mm-hmm.
maybe your closest friends, but you
Mm-hmm.
don't really necessarily talk about that publicly, or
Mm-hmm.
some of these other things that feel either embarrassing or scary or whatever. To have that held in a group container not only sheds light on it, but the power of, I have goosebumps right now, the power of collective intention of
Mm-hmm.
healing. Like, oh God, that just feels
Yeah.
so right to me.
Absolutely. Me too. Just co-creation and healing together, and taking all the kind of like taboo around it away. What is this lump in your breast teaching you? Let's talk about it, or let's sit with it. Let's be with it together. Um, mhm. And
Gorgeous.
mhm.
I also know that you facilitate breath work here on island, and I'm wondering how that works its way into what you do.
Um, that's a really good question. So, breath work is amazing. All kinds of breath work. The breath work that I teach, one of my teachers is David Elliott, and it's a form of breath work that he has channeled that is a quick path into the self, right? And one of the reasons why I love it so much is because it is one of the most powerful ways to bring you into your own medicine, right? To shine the light in those kind of sticky, cobwebby places, and self-heal, right? It's so empowering for people to really see themselves, feel themselves, and heal from the inside out without kind of seeking external fixing. That makes sense. And all it is breath. And it can take it's such deep medicine, because it really can take us into all of the other realms, all of the other dimensions, and it connects it all together in the body.
Yeah. So I'm envisioning it now of like these circles where we're all like together in a conscious, focused intention of healing. We've got tools like breath work. We have tools like, looking around at our natural environment and bringing that, into the circle as well, into our bodies. Prayer,
Mhm,
as well as all of the medical tools that are, it's not like we want to throw all of those things
mhm,
away,
mhm,
but we can keep those and integrate those and weave those in as well. I mean, that
mhm,
to me, I wanted to ask you the question of like, what is the new paradigm of medicine?
mhm,
And the inkling that I'm getting as part of the answer to that question is not necessarily let's just drop the whole medical system and say fuck that
mhm.
and only do very like natural so-called natural things. But the new paradigm is weaving sort of the old, more shamanic and indigenous ways with the technology that we have today that is actually quite a blessing.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you for articulating that so perfectly. And yeah, exactly that. Mhm.
Do you have anything to add about the new paradigm of
The new
medicine, or
paradigm
did I
also,
accidentally say it all?
you kind of answered the question in a beautiful way. I think one thing that I would add is really kind of um, the empowering the ideas of looking inward, right? Of not necessarily looking outward for a fix, whether it be like outward to a shaman, a modern day shaman, or an indigenous shaman, or outward to a doctor in a white quote, right? Like really looking inward and opening it up. It doesn't have to be in a door in a room one-on-one. It can be in a circle, because you get that third energy of healing, of being held in a circle with others.
I
and
love
and
it.
and
Yeah.
holding things like breath and like a swim in the ocean, or walking on the earth, simple things that are being talked about in conventional medicine, which is so exciting, right? That things like grounding, walking barefoot outside, and breath and ice baths and are being talked about in conventional medicine, which is very cool, because that's new. So bringing kind of more of that and more of the magic, the unseen, maybe unheard pieces into the structures that exist.
Yay. I want to ask you about something too, because of the context with which we know each other, which is
Mhm,
through the sacred cactus plant medicine, Wachuma. It's,
mhm,
it's relatively psychedelic. It's not as psychedelic as some of the other medicines, but it's extremely transformative. As you know, Sarah and I have bonded hardcore because of our mutual love and devotion to this beautiful plant medicine.
mhm.
And I just want to like ask, how does that medicine weave its way into your professional work?
Oh my gosh, in all of the ways. It just reminds us. I think of Wachuma as a remembering, right? And it reminds us of the rhythms within, the rhythms around us. It reminds us to be so deeply present and aware. And it reminds us to honor all the pieces of ourselves, all the pieces of our bodies, all the pieces of our spirits, and how we relate to our human family around us, and all of the beautiful plants and animals and stars and ocean around us. It reminds us of the medicine in the magic.
I mean, it's true. I mean, everything, and the reason I even brought that up is because so much of what you're saying reminds me of what this plant medicine does for me, which is like
Mhm,
shedding a light on every single cell of my body.
mhm,
I can
mhm,
feel it happening,
mhm,
and I can
mhm.
also feel my deep unity consciousness with the people around me
Yes.
and with the trees.
Mhm,
I'm looking at that tree, and it's not like I can see it have eyes looking back at me, but I can feel it
mhm,
perceiving me, and
mhm,
this mutual recip- reciprocity between me and the tree, for
mhm,
instance. And that
mhm.
is so medicinal and magical.
So medicinal, right? Exchange and relation, and we know that, and we remember that in moments throughout our day. With Mochuma, one of my experiences is the whole time you're in that deep right relation, right exchange with other humans and with all of the elements in this amazing universe.
So I just want to anecdotally share something that our medicine man, his name is Jack. He lives back and forth between the mainland and the U.S. and Chavin. He has told me a story. I won't go into a long explanation of it, but he's told me a story of a woman who came to Chavin with stage 4 cancer and
Mm,
who embarked on a journey of going into the Wachuma ceremony like maybe every other day for like a month, and went back to the mainland, got checked, and the cancer was completely gone.
mm,
And I know that sounds like so far fetched and like secondhand, but like I trust this man a lot. I believe him. And that is so wild to me.
mhm. It's wild and it's magic, and we know that magic is real, right? And if a drug that is extracted from a plant in a lab and potentized, right, can help cancer disappear, why can't another plant medicine, right? Like that, like chemo drugs, most of them come from plants.
Wow. Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
but
it's almost like more um, surprising or shocking that, these medications that are synthesized and manipulated in a lab in a little dish by humans can um, make cancer disappear. It almost like makes more sense to me intuitively that a plant straight from the ground grown with such love and passion um, can make cancer disappear, right? That feels um, more natural.
totally. Gosh, it's funny, interesting, wild that we put more stock. Even I myself, I'm so wowed by the fact that this cactus can cure cancer. And why would that be so surprising? Like
Mhm.
you just really spoke to that. Like that should not be surprising. That shouldn't be such a revelation. That's like that is we are from the earth, and so the earth
Mhm.
shall heal
Mhm.
us. And the more direct
Mhm.
we have that relationship with her,
Mhm.
the more the healing can unfold.
Mhm.
Mm.
Right. Right. And it's because there's this huge separation, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, right? People are still going to take chemo drugs, and chemo drugs can be miraculous for some people. And other people are going to take cactus, or in different traditions around the world, there's many different ways of working with cancer or masses or certain patterns in the body that are going to create healing as well, right? So part of it
So go
is
ahead.
remembering, and like um weaving in these incredible kind of tools that we've learned from our ancestors, from some of the indigenous people all over the world, and taking it into now, right, kind of braiding it together with um, the modern medical models.
We've traversed a lot of beautiful ground, earthly ground on this conversation so far, and I want to bring it back to um, share with people how they can get to know you better, and also you've got an upcoming event here on Maui where people can really experience the magic that we're talking about. And I want you to share a little bit about that upcoming event and how people can find out more about you.
Sure. So I have a website and an Instagram handle, new, but you can find me there. It's Dr. Sarah, and the Instagram is at Dr. Sarah Anne Rothman, and my website is drsarahrothman.com. So that's how you can find me. I'm happy to chat with you. And then in December, I love to run retreats. Been doing so for 13 years, a couple of retreats a year. And this is one of my favorite ways to teach, to bring that kind of circle energy into medicine, bring the medicine in the magic in the medicine, through running retreats. And so this next one is in December. It's on Maui's west side. And it is over winter solstice. So again, we're going to be shining a light on our shadows, on all kind of the deep, dark places at the darkest time of the year, and welcoming the rebirth of the sun and the light, honoring all of it through breath work. And I'm co-facilitating the retreat with a wonderful human, Drew Broderick, who does vocal activation and sound healing. So we are going to be using mostly the breath and the voice as medicine.
And the beautiful landscape here on Maui,
Yes.
and
Mm.
just pure gorgeousness. I'm really, really excited for that and for the people who will be able to experience that beautiful process with you and Drew.
Yes, definitely. It's kind of right on the ocean, and we're going to have the participants will have the opportunity to volunteer to help restore the land and work with the land and the history of this part. Hawaiian concepts of well been talking about. So us being one with the ocean and the animals and the plants and song and breath as some of the most potent medicine there is, and it's within us.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I
Thank
really
you, Sarah.
appreciate your wisdom, your magic, and your medicine being on the show with us today. And thank you all so much for listening.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, everyone.
Much love, much magic. Mwah.
Mwah.